Hello and welcome to DudeCast TV. I'm your host, Norman Dexter. I'm a dude who's going to talk about some shit. In today's podcast, I'll start with a quote. Life goes pretty fast. Don't stop to take a look around once in a while. You could miss it. One of the most famous quotes from the Ferris Bueller movie. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. If you need the full title. I swear to God, if you haven't seen that movie, I will tongue punch your fart box, because holy shit, that movie is one of the best movies of all time in the classics category. Watch it if you haven't. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, you understand that the whole movie is about some kids playing hooky at school and their principal doing his damnedest to find them and catch them in the act. Now, I'm not going to get into the plot of this movie. It's not the reason for this podcast. What I am going to get into is the idea of what Ferris means when he says life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop to take a look around once in a while, you could miss it. With the idea that the present moment is fleeting. The emotions in the present are fleeting. And I'm going to build upon that. The idea that whatever goal you have in place, be it monetary or otherwise, because let's face it, most goals that we have are financial. Getting that promotion, getting that raise, having that stable career path, making enough money to buy a house, a car, what have you, right? Most people's goals are financial and monetary in nature. But what else is there? Well, people want marriage, they want kids, a family, they want to get a degree, they want to be happy. That's the big one, right? They want to be happy, but moreover, they want to be successful first and foremost. If they're successful, then they can be happy, right? But what is success? At least here in America, what does success mean? Usually means you're a millionaire of some kind. You are independently wealthy and you can do whatever you want, right? Well, I'm going to kind of poo-poo that. In fact, I'm going to take a big fat giant shit on that. The American dream to own property, to the pursuit of happiness, life and liberty, whatever, all that nonsense, right? I'm going to poo-poo all of that for a moment. And I'm going to poo-poo it in a way wherein I'm going to specifically harbor on this whole hustle mentality that has been perpetuated by people like Gary Vaynerchuk. This idea that I'll sleep when I'm dead. This idea that every waking moment of your life as a young person should be spent working toward something, working toward a goal. Now, don't get me wrong. It's very important to have goals and measurable aspects of those goals or milestones that you can reach every step of the way to show you're progressing. If we don't have forward progression in our lives, we'll feel pretty depressed, stagnant, and miserable. I've said this many times in past episodes. However, there is diminishing returns. There's a famous study that was done however many fucking years ago, I don't remember, where they saw, I think after $78,000 a year, there was diminishing returns on your metric of happiness, your measured happiness, if you will, meaning that every amount of money somebody made after they made $78,000, so $82,000, $88,000, $120,000, whatever, the more money they make, it's diminishing returns on how happy they were. So the idea being that it kind of peaks in terms of what happiness money can bring you at around $78,000 a year. Now, obviously, inflation makes this number higher, whatever. But the idea being is that there's a number for every person that you need to live a happy life. Whether you have kids, whether you're single, whether you're married or not. That number will change. That number will vary. And it always makes me happy, or makes me laugh, because when I started producing this podcast on a regular basis, I started getting people watching it. Not many. I mean, I think the most views I ever got on one of these episodes was like 33 or something, which, cool. 33 people watched my shit. Neat. And whether that number grows or not doesn't really matter to me. I'm still going to make these, whether 1 or 2 people watch it or 1 or 2 million. I don't care. For this very reason, I'm speaking about money and diminishing returns. It's always about shooting to that next number, that higher number. If I get 1 million subscribers, okay, now can I get to 2 million? Can I get to 10 million? You know, who fucking cares at some point? And I'm going to get into why that shit doesn't matter. But when I started producing this podcast regularly, I started getting people reaching out to me on my social medias. And it's so funny because it always starts off with the same message. Hey, love what you're doing, love the motivation, keep it up. And I go, thanks, I appreciate you. Thinking in my head, where's the sales pitch? Very next thing that they send me. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know that they don't actually support what I do. I know they're trying to sell me some bullshit. Pay me $10,000 and you can make $10,000 a month. To which I would say, why don't you do that, jack off? That's usually where it goes. But recently I had somebody do this, and my favorite thing to do, and I've done this 4 or 5 times now with these various people that always have the same objective of trying to sell me something, usually. He asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I go, self-sustaining, making just enough money to keep the lights on and enjoy my life. Well, what do you mean just enough money? Is what they always say. Don't you want to grow your business? And I say, nope, absolutely the fuck not. Like, why not? Why wouldn't you want to grow your business? Wouldn't you want to be a multi-millionaire and all these things? Sometimes they talk about buying yachts and other stupid bullshit. And I go, nope, I'd rather castrate myself. And they always respond with a hilarious answer of, well, that's an interesting response. Meaning, what the fuck? It's very funny for me. And I'll expand upon that point. I tell them I know people who are small business owners who make over $1 million a year. I know people who are small business owners that are independently wealthy, but they are slaves to their trade. Meaning they will work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, to keep their business going because they grew it too much too fast. They have 3 locations, they're the sole owner, and they have to go back and forth throughout the week between those locations. And they can't find anybody to help them run things because nobody runs it as well as them. And it has to be done their way or the business falls apart. They've grown too fast, and they're getting too old for this shit. They can't work 60 hours a week anymore because they've been doing it for 30 or 40 years. They've grown too big, but they've gotten accustomed to that style of living, that cost of living. And, you know, maybe they go on a couple cruises a year, maybe they drive around a Mercedes, they live in the nice part of town. Things are expensive. Maybe they own a summer home, maybe they own a condo in Florida, whatever. It's too expensive. Their cost of living is too high, so they have to keep that work ethic. Fuck that shit. I've always had the goal to become independently wealthy by the time I was 35 years old. And thankfully, I'm on track to do that. But the reason wasn't so I could just stop working and sit on a beach and drink Muay Thais or Mai Tais, whatever the fuck. I don't drink alcohol that much. So the little drink with the umbrella in it, I'm not sitting on a bench drinking that. That's not the idea. The idea is not to travel the world for the rest of my life if I become independently wealthy and retired. No, no, no. The idea is I have the time to do whatever the fuck I want and not have to worry as much about the money coming in. Meaning, if I want to work a 20-hour work week, I can. If I want to work a 10-hour work week, I can. If I want to work a 40-hour work week, I can. And it'll be doing what I want to do. In my case, that's personal training. So I can do whatever the fuck I want. Now, if that means growing to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 gyms in my area, I won't have the time for that. Because then I'll be going to each of those gyms to make sure they're performing well. Fuck that shit. I'm building one gym. I'm getting an environment curated to what I want, which is a very collaborative, fun, enjoyable environment full of trainers, group fitness instructors, yoga instructors, spin instructors, no members, just scheduled clientele for the various classes and one-on-one training sessions. Good people working with me, not for me. I curate a very good, productive, fun, enjoyable environment, all of those involved. And I just let that shit coast. I put it on cruise control, and I enjoy my fucking life. The fact of the matter is, I have lived all of my 20s on $20,000 a year or less, owning a house. How did I do that? Well, I saved a lot of fucking money and didn't buy shit for years. Everything you see in this picture, I didn't pay for. This chair I inherited from my grandfather. This side table I got from my aunt and uncle who were going to throw it away. This armoire, my mom was going to throw it away. This camera that I'm recording with right now, left over because my brother upgraded to another one. Everything you see is a hand-me-down. This mic, hand-me-down. This hamper here is like a towel bin that also belonged to my deceased grandfather. The feathers or decor here, I got that from a client. The little circle thing here on this end table, I got from a client who was moving and just getting rid of shit, giving it away. I made this lamp in 9th grade in woodshop. Okay? These glasses, stuff that my parents had in storage that they didn't want anymore. Everything you see here, this blanket, these lights, none of it cost me a dime. People were just giving it away. Everything, including what I'm wearing, given to me over time, be it like a birthday present from 10 years ago, or like this shirt who a client gave to me because I helped him lose a bunch of weight and it doesn't fit him anymore. These socks are from high school. These shorts are from high school. I'll be 30 this month. So a lot of what I'm wearing is 10 plus years old, 12 plus years old. I don't buy things. I saved up as much money as possible while working as much as possible. Now, I understand not everybody can do that because they have cost of living. I was lucky enough to live at home with my parents while I was in school and working my ass off. Working full-time at 2 different jobs while going to school full-time, getting almost no sleep. Because the idea was, work hard in your 20s, don't have to the rest of your life. Well, guess what? My 20s are coming to a fucking end. I made myself a promise that I was going to work my dick into the fucking dirt so that I could enjoy the rest of my life. And that's what happened for me. That's what made it work for me. That doesn't mean that you're in the same position as I am and you can copy and paste to me. It's the same thing with all these people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, and all these other individuals that are gurus that try to sell you something. Thankfully, Gary does not sell you things, so that's good. I do like him for that. But he even is drawing back and backpedaling on this idea of hustle till you're dead, of hustle, 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 life is hustled, nothing else matters, because he just got a fucking divorce from his wife of like 20 years or something. You know, he built this fucking media empire for himself, and he ended up getting a divorce. He wasn't happy, got divorced. Now he's got some hot 20-year-old girlfriend. Like, the fuck, man? I thought you were happy. I thought you were happily married with 2 kids in this media empire. It's always a show. Don't put on a show. Don't show everyone on social media what you want. Show them who you are. I hate this strange artificial presence we all create for ourselves on social media because it's not authentic and it's very attention grabby. It's very annoying. And I know a lot of people that put a bunch out on social media just so they can get likes, just so they can get attention. Most of my friends just put things out on social media to just kind of update people about their life. It's not for show. It's just, hey, here's where I am. Or they just post shit to be funny. When I post updates of myself for, say, my workouts, it's so that people know, hey, here's me progressing. I'm doing it little by little. You can too. But also, I'm not saying, look how great I am. I'm posting things like I posted a picture a couple weeks ago where there was a sweat stain on the mirror and made it look like I had a booger in my nose. And I was posting mostly about how vascular I looked and how I was having a crazy pump. Oh, hey, look at that. That's cool. Feet, booger in my nose. That's really a sweat stain or some bullshit. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be self-deprecating. It's a good time because I feel weird just posting pictures of myself otherwise. I suck at taking compliments. So I want to put this out there to, one, keep me accountable, but also be like, hey, guys, I'm out here doing this. Check it out. And if you like it, cool. If not, fuck off, I guess. I don't really care. I don't care how many likes I get. I don't want any shares. I'm just like, hey, I'm just updating y'all on how things are going. Because I have friends that are interested in it. And I have a very, 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 very small following that gives a damn. And so I update those people because they take interest in it. All that aside, the general idea that I'm trying to get across in saying all this is reassess what your goals are and why you have them. Do you want to be rich and successful because you think that's what is going to make you happy? Do you want to have a career or a certain job or promotion or certain outcomes like getting married and having kids because that's what's expected of you. Well, as I talked about in my It's Fucking Weird Being a Millennial video, these expectations are thrust upon us from the time we're kids, and they're kind of bullshit. So maybe you should create and curate something else for yourself, something more unique to what you need and something that really makes you happy. It's one of the reasons why I became polyamorous, because that's what really makes me happy. It's one of the reasons why I am not going to get married probably ever. And if I do have kids, it'll be somewhere down the line, not anytime soon, because I have these goals that I currently have up into 35, and those goals will change. It's not this perpetual cycle of set a goal, set a new goal, set a goal, set a new goal, set a goal, set a new goal. Every time you meet it, that will happen, but it shouldn't be the main focus of your life unless you're trying to be the best in the world at something. So a good example for my fitness goals is that I'm constantly setting new ones, yes, but it is not the centerpiece of my life anymore. I'm not trying to be a professional bodybuilder. I'm not trying to get on the Mr. Olympia stage and be the best in the world. If that was the case, then yeah, I would set those big, giant goals constantly, but I don't want that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to be a little bit better every day. So that's not at the forefront of my mind anymore. The other day, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who used to be a client that I helped get to a point of self-sustenance, and now he's doing that on his own, and it's great. He's having trouble, and I told him, like, dude, your beginner gains are gone. You progressed a lot in the year and a half that you've been doing this. You're going to start to see what it's like to be an intermediate lifter now, and you aren't going to get nearly as strong, nearly as fast. That's okay. That's normal. That's to be expected. And you should be a little bit upset with yourself because that's what drives you forward. But what he's finding is that for the last year and a half, he really identified with his sole purpose of losing weight, getting stronger, and being more healthy. But now he's at a point of self-sustenance, and he's kind of in a routine where he can just kind of coast and cruise control, and it doesn't give you that same dopamine hit of fulfillment and I feel good. This is great. I hit a milestone. He'll get those, but they aren't nearly as intense as they used to be. He's streamlined the process, so it's not nearly as exciting. He's not thinking about it all day, every day. He's thinking about it 1 or 2 hours out of the day. It's kind of like building an alcohol tolerance. It used to be 1 or 2 beers got you tipsy. Now you need 6 or 7 beers to get yourself tipsy. It's kind of the same thing. The more you do it, the more time you spend on it, the more dull it becomes, and you need something else to keep it kind of exciting. Or instead of pushing that shit to the nth degree, you find new shit. This podcast is new shit for me. This podcast is something I enjoy doing. It's something I am fulfilled in doing. And it's something that continues to scratch that itch and makes it fun for me. Because the workouts are streamlined. The nutrition and diet protocols are streamlined. I have a streamlined sleep schedule. I have a streamlined romantic relationship schedule. I have a streamlined financial schedule and career path. Everything is streamlined, so I'm finding new things. One of the things that I want to do next when I have a little bit more free time, because I played video games the last few months, I'm starting to get a little tired of the video games, so I'm going to switch to something else. Your focus is changed day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. Now, if you have kids, you may not have much of a choice in that. However, there's still some things you can do on the side for yourself. The thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start getting into bushcraft survival stuff, which is basically you go out into the woods with the amount of tools you can carry, and then you create a shelter with what you have on you, using your environment and only your environment. And that's what you do. It's fun. I like working with my hands. It's a good time. So that's what I'm going to start doing. After that, who knows if that's months from now, years from now, I don't know. But that's the newest thing that I'm going to take interest in. It's a new hobby. It's fun. The thing about hobbies is a lot of people start them, but they never stick with them and they never finish them. Start it, stick with it for a while, see if you like it. Maybe try martial arts. Maybe try learning a new language. Maybe try ballroom dancing. I don't know. For me, I do want to learn martial arts at some point, and I do want to go and learn the piano. But those are later down in the future for me. My point is, it's not about making more money. It's not about getting that promotion, getting further in your career, Realize that sometimes you need to stop and enjoy the present. This whole podcast was inspired by a single moment that lasted about an hour. Couple weeks ago, and I had that again this morning, and that's what inspired me to do it here today. And it was this idea that nobody pays attention anymore. You know, we're too busy focusing on the macro, the goals that I'm talking about. We're too busy focused on the macro and not the micro, or we're too busy looking with blinders on and not taking in a lot of your surroundings to fully appreciate them. People with their face in their phones, people unable to even speak to the person adjacent to them in a public setting, people complaining about their drive to and from um, rather than enjoying the cool places they drive past. Like for me, I love looking at houses. It's one of my favorite things to do while I'm driving. Also, in everyone's in a hurry to hustle your way into the next task, chore, goal, or other step ladder of success, big or small, all the while sacrificing the present for the future, never really taking in the moment. And this whole podcast, like I said, was inspired by something that happened a few weeks ago, which was uh, I was sitting out front, smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, and 20 or so cars that drove by passed me during the 1 hour or so that I spent smoking a cigar, and not a single person looked over at me. They were either on their phone or looking at the road. Obviously, they all should be looking at the road, but it made me realize just how much time we all spend on autopilot. Like how often do you remember your drive to and from work if you've been doing it for a while? Most often you don't even remember how you got home. And like I said, on my drive, I like to look at the stuff around me. I try to pay attention to the road too, of course. That's why I don't get into car accidents. But you try to take in your surroundings. It's fun. It's enjoyable. But that's why I want to bring it back to what I said in the beginning: is that Ferris had the right idea, and I do believe that taking uh, taking some time to unplug from the world and just sit with yourself or a loved one or even a complete stranger would do us all some good. And that's what I want to focus on in saying all this. Yeah, you should probably look at your goals and make sure that you're not endlessly striving for something like more money if it doesn't mean that much to you. Figure out what really matters to you and then strive for that. But at the same time, give yourself a break. Give yourself some time to just sit and do nothing. Find ways that waste time that you feel good about, but rather than you shouldn't feel guilty about wasting time. That's a big one. A lot of these gurus, like Gary Vaynerchuk and others, they talk about how you shouldn't be wasting time when I think wasting time is one of the healthiest things you can do. It's one of the best things you can do, particularly if you're spending it with loved ones or people you care about. But sometimes just sitting by yourself or sitting down at the park with a complete stranger and having a conversation can feel really nice. And I really want that to be the takeaway. Everything I said leading up to this point was talking about and kind of poo-pooing the manifest destiny we talk about here in America, the American dream, if you will. Uh, but the fact of the matter is, there are very few people who can become independently wealthy. And for those people, it's probably important to reassess your goals to figure out what will work best for you, because if you can't become independently wealthy, if you can't get your way out of debt from student loans, car payments, and mortgages or whatever, like I am lucky enough to do, well, you're going to have to find ways of enjoying your present that are fulfilling to you so you can actually lead a happy life. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the idea. Don't be a slave to your own goals. Don't be a slave to your debts. Don't be a slave to these abstract expectations that society, your parents, your peers, or whoever place upon you. Make your own goals, change your lifestyle. You don't need to be living in an apartment, working a job that make other people happy. You need to live in a place and work in a position that make you happy. If that means you save up a little bit of money, sell everything you have, and then buy a little uh, Airstream trailer that you can drag along in your shitbox little truck or SUV, you can live out of that. And you just go somewhere and you find a job working in a diner making minimum wage, but that's really all you need because you can get the food there for free and you can live in your Airstream and parking lot. Like, there's ways to do things that sound ridiculous, they sound crazy, but that's only because they aren't normal. I've always operated under the slogan, I'm not normal, I'm Norman. I do things my way. Maybe you should do things your way too. There's always another way. I mean, I've said this before, making money is not hard. People will sell literal farts in a jar to perverts on the internet for $150 a jar. There are ways to make money that don't involve you being fucking miserable. Just think about it. Critical think, think outside the box as best as you can, and then maybe you can find something that's better for you. Because We really should start living in the present rather than just looking forward to the future. Because let's say you're looking forward to that vacation that you've been saving up for a year, and you go on that vacation and it's fun, it's great, it's whatever, but then you have to deal with the depression of getting back to your day-to-day life. You don't want to go back to your normal life and feel depressed about it. I'd say that's the number one goal we should all strive toward. Live a life where you don't need a vacation, but you're like, yeah, let's go do this thing, that sounds fun, as opposed to the need for a vacation. Thankfully, I've never needed a vacation because I always loved the work that I do. Now, during school, I kind of needed a vacation, but that vacation wasn't necessarily one of I need to travel somewhere to get away from things. It's just I would like a week or a weekend where I don't have to worry about studying and homework and tests and so on, which eventually after graduating, I didn't have to do that anymore. So, get yourself to a point where you don't need a vacation. Try to cultivate and curate a life around you that actually makes you happy and feel successful, where you can sit outside unplugged. There is no phone, there is no electricity, it's just you and a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You're sitting there and you're enjoying yourself alone, and there's nothing stressing you out. If you can get to that point, you'll be more successful than most people on this planet. But that's all I have for you. Kind of a short one today. Thank you for tuning in. I know this one's going to be posted a little late in the week, but I wanted to, just like I was saying, don't feel pressured into doing anything you don't want to do. This podcast is the same. I try to do it every week. And sometimes I'm not feeling inspired. I'll still post something every week, shorter or longer, whatever. But this week, Monday and Tuesday, I wasn't feeling it. Today, it's Wednesday. I was feeling it today. Hump day had me feeling some type of way. I enjoyed this. This was nice. That's why I do this. I am not obligated. I am not pressured. I enjoy doing this for me. And that's why I did it. And that's what you should do too, in my humble opinion. All that being said, thank you for listening. I have been your dude. You have been my cast. I'll see you guys next week. Deuce Magoose and peace out. Have a good one.
It's time to put our times behind. Get all the bad things off your mind. He's feeling good, she's feeling good, we're feeling good, yeah. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. There's nothing better than your friends, there's no problem you can't win. Someone who's always got your back, not caring about this or that. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. It's all about meeting new faces. The smiles on your face and you can't erase it. Partying on, it's going on, huh? Partying on till the break of dawn. Oh, it's time to put hard times behind. Get all the bad things off your mind. Just hanging out, just having fun. We're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. Just hanging out, just having fun. We're number one. Whoa, I'm a dude.